What is up, everybody? Welcome into Flippin' Bats. It is trade deadline week, and man, oh man, do we have a lot to talk about. Trade deadline, 6 p.m. Eastern time, later today on Tuesday. So we have an episode coming out, obviously now. This one, which was recorded later in the day on Monday. This comes out Tuesday. We will have a trade deadline special episode on Wednesday as well, right after everything is done. Wednesday morning, you'll wake up and see everything you need to know about the trade deadline, winners of the deadline, losers of the deadline, all the big trades, everything will come out Wednesday, and then Saturday with Smoltz breaking down everything as well. So big week here on Flippin' Bats. A lot has happened over the last couple days. A lot has happened leading up to the trade deadline, and I'm sure a ton is going to happen. So I'm really excited for this week. I love trade deadline week. It is just constant refreshing of Twitter. Reaching your rate limit on Twitter. They get mad at me at how much I'm refreshing, but it is just pure chaos. And it has already been pure chaos over the weekend, early on Monday. So we're going to talk all of that today. The biggest trades so far, things that happened over the weekend, power rankings, and then later on in the episode, want to talk about some of the teams that need to do something. I'm going to have my top three teams that really need to do something still. So let's start with over the weekend, big series, Astros, Dodgers. You got a 2017 World Series rematch between those two. Always a lot on the line, always a lot of high drama, high fan interaction because of that series, because of how it all played out, because of the cheating scandal that later came out. It's just always a big series when the two of them get together. Astros end up winning that series. The Saturday game was incredible. Big comeback by the Astros. Alex Bregman walk-off homer to the freaking train tracks out there in left field. Shohei Ohtani just hitting an absolute. Shohei hit what might be the furthest ball I have ever seen in that stadium. I have seen Yordan Alvarez hit a ball off the scoreboard. I didn't see it with my own two eyes in person, but I have seen it be done. Yordan hitting that ball off the scoreboard. Shohei hit a ball to the top of the steps in right field. I have never seen that. I think Shohei hit the furthest ball that I have ever seen hit in that stadium. It was remarkable. But Astros win the first two games of the series. Dodgers winning the Sunday game of the series. So really good teams battling it out, playing some good baseball, both of them right now. So Astros win that series over the weekend to stay atop the AL West. As we enter the new week, Astros percentage points ahead of the Mariners. But Mariners team looks a bit different right now. We'll talk about that in this episode as well. But let's talk some trades. Let's talk the biggest things so far that have happened. Again, this episode is being recorded later in the afternoon on Monday. So if something happens Monday night, that will be talked about on Wednesday's trade deadline special episode. Just a reminder there. So let's talk what happened early in the day on Monday. A huge three-way trade between the St. Louis Cardinals, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Chicago White Sox. Now, here's how it all shook out. The Cardinals get Eric Fetty and Tommy Pham. Eric Fetty, one of the better pitchers in baseball this year. Huge breakout year for him. Great for him after going overseas, coming back, pitching really well. Breakout year, a 3.14 ERA on the year, a career season for him. Eric Fetty was one of the prized arms on the market and available. Tommy Pham seemingly has his bags packed every single year at the deadline. The second Tommy Pham signs with the Chicago White Sox after the season started, if I recall. I know he signed really late, but I believe the season had already started when Tommy Pham signed with the Chicago White Sox. You knew it was just until June. He might as well have had his bags packed, and that's the way it shakes out for him every trade deadline, seemingly. And he always ends up being a big piece. I don't know why Tommy Pham doesn't ever get he never gets the multi-year deal. It's just always, wow, he's going to be big for somebody in the playoffs. Well, it's going to be the Cardinals. The Cardinals have seemingly put themselves in a good position to be a playoff team. Their offense has been really good. Pitching was totally revamped this offseason. Definitely an older rotation. I love Love these two acquisitions for the St. Louis Cardinals. Really good on them for this trade. Dodgers on the other end of this get Tommy Edman from the Cardinals and Michael Kopech from the Chicago White Sox. Now, Edman, super utility guy. Kopech throws a million miles an hour. Not the best numbers in the world, but in case you've been living under a rock, the Dodgers bullpen needs somebody that throws 100 miles an hour that can punch guys out. So he can be a big arm for them down the stretch and into the playoffs. These moves are for the playoffs. Look, Tommy Edman hadn't played a baseball game all year long in the big leagues. He's on the comeback trail in rehab, on a rehab assignment, but just recently had a setback on his rehab assignment. So got shut down for a little while. But now, like, I don't know. He could come back tomorrow. He could come back in 2 months. It's really irrelevant for the Dodgers because this is for the playoffs. You know the Dodgers are going to be a playoff team. They're trying to bolster their lineup and their versatility, which they do big time with Tommy Edman if he can come back and be healthy. Obviously, Kopech helps the bullpen. White Sox just continue to be an utter embarrassment to the league with this trade, to be quite honest with you. Miguel Vargas, they get him in return. Dodgers send them Miguel Vargas, veteran infielder that veteran infielder. Okay. Prospects, Gerald Perez and Alexander Albertus. They get them from the Dodgers. They're both mid-20s on the prospect list. Not big guys. Not anybody that I can write home about and tell you they're gonna be these great big leaguers. And that is the entire return for the Chicago White Sox. Miguel Vargas, Gerald Perez and Alexander Albertus, who are prospects in the 20s. The Cardinals send them nobody. So just a big head scratcher, to be honest, for the Chicago White Sox. You have Eric Fetty, who's one of the top starting pitching arms available at the trade deadline. You have, I don't know, 80% of the league that's still in contention in some way and hopeful that they might be able to go on a little stretch here in this last few days and put themselves in a position to be buyers. At least 50% of ball clubs that are in search for a starting pitcher. And you have one of the best available, a couple of the best available, Garrett Crochet as well. But, and this is your return for Eric Fetty? Seriously? The Cardinals didn't even end up sending them anybody. The Cardinals' lone output in this entire trade was sending Tommy Edman to the Dodgers. And then the Dodgers flip around the prospects to the White Sox. But for me, this trade, if we're going to go 3-2-1, the Cardinals win this trade massively. They are massive winners here. They get Eric Fetty, great starting pitcher, really good, one of the big arms available. They get Tommy Pham, really good postseason bat, just a really good bat in general, but a guy that has not seemingly just signed that multi-year deal, but a guy that every year you look up and who signed Tommy Pham to play in the playoffs with them? Last year, it was the Arizona Diamondbacks, who have publicly said they are not in the World Series last year without Tommy Pham. Well, now he's going to do the same thing for the Cardinals. He's going to be a big bat for them down the stretch. Hopefully get to the playoffs with them, and we'll see how far they can go. So I love the return for them. Dodgers getting Tommy Edman and Michael Kopech. I'll say slight winners here. Obviously, they gave up the 3 players that the White Sox ended up getting, but not huge prospects. So I'm gonna say they're winners here because you get Tommy Edman. Again, hasn't played a game all year, but super utility man. When right, when healthy, a super utility man that can play literally everywhere on the field while also being a really good bat for you and stealing bases. So high upside there. But again, who knows what you're going to get from him this year because he hasn't been healthy all year, dealing with a lot of different things. Michael Kopech add to the bullpen. That's a good pickup for them there. White Sox, massive, huge losers. Huge losers. Man, I've continued. There's two teams that I've said I'm done talking about. The Oakland Athletics and the Chicago White Sox, just because of how much they've pissed me off. Well, the White Sox aren't allowing me to not talk about them because now they're going to be huge losers at the trade deadline as well. Losers on the field. Again, not the players. I'm not talking about the players. Front office has put a losing product out on the field. Losing product on the field. Now the front office is losing at the trade deadline, at least so far. There are 2 massive names left for them, Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert Jr. as of Monday afternoon. So we'll see if they can get that right, if they end up moving them. But we'll see. But in conclusion on this, big winners for the St. Louis Cardinals, winners for the Dodgers, big losers for the Chicago White Sox. But a big three-way trade going down Monday morning. Next up, another big one. Jazz Chisholm to the Yankees happened over the weekend. You know what? I love Jazz Chisholm. I became a big fan of his when he came on the show, when he came on Flippin' Bats and just talking to him, picking his brain. He is a brilliant baseball player. His baseball mind is top tier. I loved watching him play, and then I loved him as a person once he came on. Here's my thoughts on the trade. The Yankees needed this move for Jazz Chisholm Jr. They need more, but let me tell you why this might just be my favorite trade so far. The Yankees are boring. I know they have the best 1-2 punch in baseball in the lineup, but the New York Yankees have been a boring team for a decade plus at this point. And if you think I'm wrong, that's fine. I'm not here to start an argument over this. I'm not here to say that there haven't been years where they've been good. I'm just here to say they've been pretty boring. They needed a guy like Jazz Chisholm Jr. He is the opposite of boring. And aside from his swag on the field, I also think he's become underrated because people love hating on Jazz and the way that he plays the game. But if you look at the numbers, dude's about a 250 career hitter with a career OPS right at 750 and is on pace to steal 40 bags this year. He can play all over the field, made his debut for the Yankees playing center field. Aaron Boone has said he's going to play the infield. We know he can play second base. Boone has talked about third base. Literally, the versatility that the New York Yankees needed. He can play everywhere. I really like this move for the New York Yankees for a lot of reasons. The player he brings on the field, player that's going to hit 250 with a 750 OPS and steal you 40 bags. The swag that he brings to this team, the excitement that is desperately needed, versatility on defense. Man, this is one of my favorite trades that has been made so far, if not my favorite trade so far of the deadline, because I think Jazz Chisholm Jr. is massively underrated in this game because people just enjoy hating on him. I love the way he plays the game. I think he plays the game hard. I think he plays the game with fun. I think he has fun doing it. Not afraid to dance his way around the bases. Shows up into the dugout for the New York Yankees. By the way, dude lands in their series was in Boston. Dude lands in Boston at like 3:50 p.m. for a night game. 3:50 p.m. Gets to the stadium at like 5:30, 7 o'clock game. They show him walking through the concourse of Fenway Park with fans already in there, and then is dressed and ready and starts in center field. Comes out into the dugout rocking a backwards Yankees hat, clean shaven, flashy belt. I love it. The Yankees needed this, man. The Yankees needed a guy like Jazz Chisholm Jr. They have been boring for a long time. Not saying they haven't been good. They have been boring. And Jazz Chisholm Jr. is not boring by any means. So love that move. Jazz Chisholm to the Yankees. Another big one. Mariners getting Randy Arozarena from the Tampa Bay Rays. Last week was pretty heated talking about the Mariners. Have continued to be since the offseason when I felt like they didn't do enough. The Seattle Mariners front office should quite frankly be embarrassed with the way that they have handled having this pitching rotation in their prime. Best pitching rotation in baseball in their prime. A World Series caliber rotation. And they just have not added the offense they needed to around them. I was frustrated in the offseason. I didn't feel like they did enough. Was Jorge Polanco enough? No, Jorge Polanco is a good ad. I know he hasn't had a good year, but if he's a third or fourth move you make in the offseason for that lineup, great, really good. But no, that was the big get Jorge Polanco, you needed more. You didn't do much in the offseason. I was disappointed all the way up until last week when I have been extremely disappointed in the Seattle Mariners front office inability to add around that star-studded rotation. But credit where credit is due, the addition of Randy Arozarena is huge. One of the bigger bats available at the deadline. You go on Baseball Reference, you go on MLB.com and look at his statistics for this year, and you'll say, man, not good. What? I don't get the excitement here. Well, one, let's take a peek at the career numbers, and then two, the last couple months of the season have been much better. One of the better hitters in baseball over the last month on a really good stretch. So he's come back to into his own a little bit and really exceeded probably his typical career numbers a little bit lately. So just a much needed bat. I do like the move. I think it was a necessary move. I think it was a move that was needed to be made. This was a desperate need for them. But I think Randy Arozarena comes with a bit of a bigger name than the punch that he gives during the regular season. I think that postseason stretch he went on, where arguably the greatest postseason that we've ever seen from a player, gets him on, top of mind in every household. And then his World Baseball Classic, the dude shines on big stages, shines. But I do think overall Randy Arozarena is a good, not great player. But the Mariners need a good in their lineup. He gets immediately plugged in and becomes their most productive hitter, one of in their lineup, especially with Julio hurt and out. Randy Arozarena becomes their best hitter immediately. Let me be very clear. The Seattle Mariners need more. If this is the only offensive piece that is added from the offseason, from day one, from opening day until the trade deadline, not successful. This is a great move for them, a necessary move for them, but they need more. That offense needs help. The rotation needs help. Not in terms of more arms, in terms of just offensive help. I'm tired of watching games. Again, this is coming as a fan of the game of baseball. I'm tired of watching Seattle Mariners games and their pitcher goes out and throws 7 innings, gives up 1 run, and the Mariners lose 2-1. I've seen it so many times. They need help offensively. Randy Arozarena is a good get for them. They do need more, a lot more, in my opinion. But we'll see what can get done there. There have been a lot of moves flying so far. Again, this will all be broken down on Wednesday's episode. Top winners of the deadline, top losers of the deadline. There's been the Cubs have made moves. The Phillies and the Orioles have traded together and made more moves. So obviously, Orioles getting Zach Eflin has been a huge addition for the rotation. Sir Anthony Dominguez in the bullpen. Mets getting Jesse Winker for some outfield help. There has been a lot, and I'm excited to break all of that down on Wednesday. Just for this one, wanted to talk about the bigger ones, and talk about some teams that I think need to do a little bit more as we currently speak, as we're recording this episode. For me, the top 3 teams in no order that still need to get some stuff done. The Houston Astros. Astros have been the best team in baseball since May 9th. Back in first place in the division, cut a double-digit deficit down in the AL West and take over first place. Percentage points ahead. They're tied there as we enter this new week with the Mariners. But the Astros need a first baseman and need some starting pitching help. Desperately need a first baseman. The Jose Abreu thing, by thing I just mean contract, did not go well. You were put into a desperate position of needing to cut ties with a former MVP at first base, an aging veteran that just couldn't ever turn it around, unfortunately. So now you're dealing with a combo over at first base and playing John Singleton there a lot, and they need a first baseman. They also need starting pitching depth. They've dealt with a lot of injuries in the rotation. A lot of, couple Tommy Johns this year. Lance McCullers trying to fight back, but setbacks there. So Astros are one of 3 teams, one of the big 3 that still need to make moves. Another one, the New York Yankees. Yes, I love the addition of Jazz Chisholm Jr., but you can't convince me right now that the New York Yankees are a World Series team. I think there's a couple teams better than them in the American League as is. I think I think Soto and Judge need help behind them in that lineup. I know Stanton's coming back, but is that's not it. They need more. I think the Yankees need, I think they need a big bat, and I think they need starting pitching help. I mean, Garrett Cole is right? The best pitcher in baseball, Cy Young Award last year. Didn't pitch this year until June, and then comes back and great. You now have Garrett Cole back in your rotation. What are you going to get from Carlos Rodon in the playoffs? What in the world with Nestor Cortez? Is that a guy you're relying on? Luis Gil. He was really good for a while. A lot of question marks now. This is the most he's pitched in his career. Are you expecting him to be good in the postseason? The New York Yankees need a starting pitcher, and they need a starting pitcher bad. So for me, they are one of three teams. Another one, the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves have the second best pitching staff, according to Team ERA, in all of baseball. Their offense has stunk. Obviously, Ronald Acuna Jr. going down for the year is a nightmare for them. Spencer Strider going down is a nightmare for them. But you've gotten Chris Sale, who is the front runner to win the NL Cy Young Award. And he's been great. Are you kidding me? If you could have imagined that, you'd feel great about your team at this point. If you could tell me at the trade deadline, the Atlanta Braves will have the second best team ERA in all of baseball, you'd say, wow, they got to be the favorites to win the World Series. With that offense, even if Acuna goes down with that offense, well, they have underperformance across the board. With Acuna going down, you need help. Go do what you did at the trade deadline when you won the World Series in 2021. Add a bunch of pieces. It doesn't need to be the big, sexy piece, but it needs to be something that you can go and add and maybe platoon with guys in the offseason or in the postseason. But at this point, for the Atlanta Braves, we got to get to the postseason. This team needs help. The offense needs help. And I think just adding an offensive bat or two, three, like they did in 2021, would be huge for that clubhouse and showing, hey, let's a little bit of a reset. Let's turn this around and get going. But the Atlanta Braves need help. This team, as is not good enough to win in the postseason. And when I say that, I mean they're not good enough to win the World Series. That's the goal. When you have a team as good as the Atlanta Braves, the goal is to win the World Series. Right now, it's not good enough. It's not as good as it needs to be. So, top three teams that, hey, trade deadline, you got to get going. Still need to do something big. Astros, Braves, Yankees for me. Speaking of the Braves and the Yankees and the Astros, let's talk new updated power rankings every single Monday. Put them out and let's talk about them. At number 10, those Atlanta Braves. Not playing good baseball. Man, I almost had them out of the top 10 this week. There are a couple teams that really San Diego Padres, Kansas City Royals could be in here, but really the big one is the Padres. Have won a couple big series lately. But I'm hanging on by a thread with the Atlanta Braves. That pitching staff is still really good. Offense has the ability to be good. But treading around 500 baseball in the last couple of weeks. So I held the Braves here at number 10. But I did slide a team in front of them that was not in the power rankings. And at number 9, the New York Mets. The New York Mets wrapped up their season series with the New York Yankees by winning every single game. They won every game in Queens. They won every game in the Bronx. The New York Mets are a lot of fun to watch right now. They split the weekend series with the Atlanta Braves. I thought the Braves did salvage a good series there with them, which is why I kept them at 10. The Mets have been playing great. Split that series, sweep the Yankees before that in Yankee Stadium. Man, the Mets are at number 9 and playing real good baseball. Just added Jesse Winker for some outfield depth, added Ryan Stanek for some bullpen help. So the Mets are making moves into the top 10 at number 9. At number 8, the Houston Astros. Here's why I kept them at number 8. This is where they were last week. I kept them here because, yes, they won a big weekend series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Big series, but they lost the series earlier in the week on the road to they lost the series earlier in the week to the Oakland A's. Can't be doing that if you want to move up the power rank. So playing good baseball as a whole over the last couple months, obviously looking really good in that division right now, but kept them here at number 8 because of that loss to the A's. At number 7, down one spot from where they were last week, the New York Yankees. Obviously, getting swept by the Mets, 2 games at home this week or last week, but all 4 on the season got swept by the New York Mets. But big weekend series to the with the Boston Red Sox in Boston, going and win that series. That was a statement for them. They've been sliding, haven't been playing good baseball, go in and play a team that nobody expected to be as good as they are this year. And the Boston Red Sox go into Fenway, but end up taking them down. Really good series for the Yankees. Aaron Judge hit a baseball 700 feet. It might be the furthest ball I've seen hit at Fenway. Absolutely insane. But the Yankees come in at number 7. At number 6, up 1 spot, just flipping them with the Yankees, the Minnesota Twins. Again, from really here on in the power rankings, not a ton of teams playing fantastic baseball. Just had to flip the Twins and Yankees there. So Twins at 6. At number 5, the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers are almost on my list of teams that need to do something. Even I am worried about Christian Yelich. Obviously, we got news recently. Not obviously, maybe it's not obvious, but we did get news recently about Christian Yelich going to miss some time, and then he did say it wasn't your typical day-to-day with his back injury that he clearly deals with all the time. I think this is a long-term back issue, and he said, yeah, it's not day-to-day. I need to make a decision that's best for my future. And then there's talks, okay, is he going to get season-ending surgery and deal with this? And then is he going to play through it and seemingly going to try and come back and play through it? Even if he does, the Brewers need, I would love to see them make some moves. The last couple of moves they make are, hey, we're in contention. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to trade away our all-star closer and Josh Hader. We're going to trade away Corbin Burns. What are you going to do? Let's add. What are you going to do, Brewers? Add. Go for it. At number 4, the Cleveland Guardians. Guardians winning a big series against the Phillies. Phillies, in my opinion, as I've been saying for a long time, really before the year, I have the Phillies winning the World Series. I have the Phillies as the clear best team in baseball. The Guardians winning that series, big one for them. But the reason I kept them here at number 4, again, as a whole over the last couple of weeks, obviously I look in the short term. It's also about what you've done all season. It's also about what you've done the last couple of weeks. So it's a bit of everything that goes into this. So the Guardians did lose a series about a week ago to the Padres, who could have easily been in these power rankings around the 9-10 spot. But, yes, good series win against the Phillies. But when I look online, it's, well, we just beat the Phillies in the power. We just beat the Phillies. How are we not higher? Okay, well, or how are you not over them? And then it's, okay, well, you just lost a series to the Padres. Should the Padres now be over you? That's a dangerous game that you can't exactly play in the game of baseball. The Oakland A's just beat the Astros in a series. Should I put the A's ahead of the Astros? No, that's not how things work. Guardians are a really good baseball team. I'm holding them put here at number 4 because they haven't been playing fantastic baseball, but not bad enough to get moved down by any means. At number 3, the Dodgers lose that series on the weekend to the Houston Astros, but were playing really well before that. So kept the Dodgers here at number 3, kept the Orioles at number 2. Orioles not playing well. This is a close flip-flop here between that 2 through 4, Orioles, Dodgers, Guardians. That gap narrowed a little bit. I had my 1 and 2 as pretty clear gaps, but that gap narrowed this past week between the Orioles, the Dodgers, and the Guardians. And then the Phillies at number 1, rounding out this week's power rankings as it has been for a couple months at this point. The Philadelphia Phillies not playing really well. Again, these top 5, 6, 7 teams really not playing all that good of baseball. So not a ton of movement happening in these power rankings. Mets did move in from out of the power rankings. Yankees and Twins flip-flop. But other than that, not a ton of movement because these are who I believe are the top 10 teams in baseball. But especially in the top 5, 6, 7, not a ton of movement one way or another. Not a ton of teams really separating themselves. So to round out this week's top 10 Major League Baseball power rankings, I go Braves, Mets, Astros, Yankees, Twins. Top 5, Brewers, Guardians, Dodgers, Orioles, Phillies, rounding out that top 10. So trade deadline, 6 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday. Chaos will ensue. It always does. I love the Major League Baseball trade deadline. It is wild. Are these teams going to put them? This is why it's this is why it's great. It's almost July, and these teams are going to put themselves in a position to go win a World Series. And you're trading away prospects that you don't know if they're going to become great or not, or big leaguers. We've seen big leaguer for big leaguer trade happen. Austin Hayes for Sir Anthony Dominguez, straight up with the Orioles and Phillies, big leaguer for big leaguer. But for the majority of these, it's young prospects getting traded for who can help me right now. And we saw it last year with the Diamondbacks going to get Tommy Pham. That helped them get to the World Series. We see it every single year. A team goes to make a trade that becomes huge, and it is trade deadline season in baseball, baby. So remember, this episode is the biggest ones that have happened so far in my mind, how I feel about them. But then Wednesday, when you wake up Wednesday, trade deadline is later tonight, late Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern time. That's it. Wednesday morning, you wake up, an episode will be out all about the trade deadline, the top winners, the top losers, who I'm disappointed in. I guess that'll also be losers, but you get what I'm saying. Breaking down the entire thing. And then Saturday with Smoltz, we'll be back with Smoltz on Saturday, also breaking down all the trade deadline stuff. So big week here on Flippin' Bats. Really exciting stuff. Thank you all for listening. By the way, I'm from Richmond, Virginia. Shout out to Richmond Little League team heading out to Japan as they do every single week. Really cool thing they do. The Richmond Little League team and a team from Japan every single year flip-flop and go and alternate where they go. So this year, Richmond Little League is heading out to Japan. Next year, that same Japan Little League will head back here. It's just a really cool thing they do. And, they'll go and get to see the Tokyo Dome. So shout out them as they head over there. Good luck to everybody playing in that. And seriously, thank you all for listening. Please make sure you're subscribed, following wherever you listen. Leave a comment. It all really helps. Apple, Spotify, wherever. You can also watch every single thing we do on our YouTube channel, Flippin' Bats Pod there. We're on all social media. We put some really cool stuff out there. So it all really helps when you follow and subscribe and comment and leave a review, and all that stuff really helps. So really appreciate that. Thank you all. Enjoy this crazy week. Enjoy the trade deadline. Remember, this is important. The deadline's at 6 p.m. Eastern time, but trades always trickle in right after that. So don't close down your app. Don't close down your podcast apps either, because Wednesday morning, Flippin' Bats, breaking it all down. Appreciate you guys. Love you all. This community is the best. And until Wednesday morning, my friends, remember, find your bat and flip it. Peace.